they're very attentive to people's needs. Yes. They want to make a difference. They're willing to sacrifice for a relationship.
Relationships mean an awful lot to them. They really want deep connection with other people. And at times will lay down their own personal wants or needs to help someone else.
Which is the exact opposite of the avoidance, right?
Yes.
Avoidance, we're told, it's not that big a deal.
Uh-huh.
But for anxious, it's like, it tells me that her parents were very anxious because they're like, oh, come here. I know what that's like. Let me give you a hug.
No, I do really love you.
Yes.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Lighter Side of Heavy Things podcast, where myself, Chris Clark, along with my co-host here, Dwayne Horton, two therapists at Pinnacle Counseling Center, take time out of our weeks to kind of discuss those lighter sides of the heavier things that we tend to deal with in our offices and in our practice. Now, this is a continuation of that attachment style or attachment series we've been talking about. And last week we spent time talking about the avoidant attachment, and we wanted to follow up and do an episode kind of more centered on the anxious attachment, because both of those I feel like are very common attachment styles we run into.
Well, this one's been pretty funny. It was funny as all of a sudden you start talking and I'm all lost in my world. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, wait, what am I doing? But I'm excited about this one today.
Yeah.
We are talking about the anxious attachment and continuing the adventures of Kiki and Mikey.
And Mikey, yeah.
But, you know, there's a lot of people who have really commented about how valuable it is to understand that they're not just crazy, that this is attachment.
Mm-hmm. And
attachment's not bad. Attachment is good.
Right.
And understanding how to get those needs met. So I think this one, because this is your story on your version of Kiki and Mikey from the anxious perspective. So let's do like a little recap, just so you know, our viewers, like the single digits, but we welcome you, we love you. Please share and like. But again, this is our therapy. But so for the viewers to watch, what is an anxious attachment? Like, what does it look like for people?
Right. Very much, I feel like for the people I work with who do tend to have this type of attachment style, they relationships mean an awful lot to them. They really want deep connection with other people, right? It's like a craving that they have. They're very sensitive to tone, body language. You know, they're always kind of picking up on those little cues, I guess you would say, that maybe for other people they brush over or don't even recognize.
Right. And they often think that they do stuff wrong. Like if something happens, oh, it's my fault.
Right.
You know, and people can get frustrated. No, it's not your fault. It's just natural. But for
I'm
them,
just
it
having
feels
a bad
real,
day.
Right? But they also use activating strategies, right?
Yes.
So when there's tension in the relationship, they tend to want to pursue.
Yes.
And sometimes with high emotions.
Right.
Which is like, it can confuse those who don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. Well, and it's often because, you know, that fear of abandonment is such a big thing for them, right? That they feel like they need to or want to do anything to avoid that. So that's why we do have those pursuing or escalating types of behaviors that we see. They also, I mean, as you kind of mentioned, they'll read into things also.
Yes.
Right. And when they tend to read into it, they take it to the worst possible conclusion.
And that's like the negative. But on the positive side, they're very attentive to people's needs. Yes. They want to make a difference. They're willing to sacrifice for a relationship. Whenever they feel safe, they make great partners.
Yes.
Because they love the idea in team. Sometimes the biggest struggle for them is that they get hung up on their own stuff, right? That idea of reading into things is like, oh, it's my fault. And, you know, we might need to make a story. Is Mikey anxious in this one?
No, Kiki.
What is Mikey?
I didn't really give him any sort of attachment. No,
I'll figure it out.
This is more. The story, at least I wrote, was kind of more of this is like internal. You can see the internal struggle that this anxious attachment is kind of causing for them.
That's actually interesting. Maybe what we ought to do is like a story with anxious. But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Anyways, I'm a little ADHD today. I don't know if I took my focus pills. Sorry.
But I do think it's very important, as you're mentioning, that idea of noticing the good that does come out of this particular attachment.
Yeah.
Right? With the avoidant, they're very independent, self-starting. They're people who are hard workers and figure things out. For the anxious, they're very attentive. They want to help very much. And at times will lay down their own personal wants or needs to help someone else.
Oh, absolutely. In a heartbeat. It is natural for them to give service.
Right.
Natural. So let's hear about the story.
Yeah. So to kind of start off in this story, Kiki is going to be the anxious attachment. And like I said, for Mike, I didn't even write any sort of attachment. He just has a few things maybe here or there, but it's nothing in particular, right?
I'm excited.
Kind of oblivious, I guess you would say in this. Mikey is.
So he's secure.
But
I'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out. I guess, viewers at home play along, I guess. Leave your guess in the comment.
Yeah.
But what I thought would be very helpful is kind of starting out as to what might be some potential reasons for the development of this particular attachment style.
Oh, so you gave her a backstory as well.
Yes.
Yes.
So for Kiki growing up with her parents, she had the sometimes warm, sometimes busy sort of parental, I guess, interactions with them, right? Some days they were very much, tell me about your day, how are you doing? What are you thinking? All that sort of stuff. And then other days it was, not now, I'm busy, right?
Oh, crap, dude, that describes me.
And so there's no
poor kids,
right? There's no warning, no pattern to this. And so, growing up, that I guess you'd say young Kiki kind of picked up or learned, attention can disappear suddenly. I need to monitor this closely. And now, so when, as an adult now, Kiki looks at these things, and when she sees or senses those small little changes, right? Whether it's one less emoji in a text, or shorter replies, or maybe there's a delay in the person getting back with them or talking to them, it's like, uh-oh.
So what you're saying is from her early childhood experiences, she had to be aware of when to subtle nuances to know when parents would listen.
Right.
Is what you're saying. Okay.
Right.
I'm picking up on that.
So another potential thing that Kiki experienced growing up is she had caregivers who gave intense love, but it was very inconsistent. Right? Big praise one day. You're my favorite person in the world. You're the best daughter, da-da-da-da-da, right? And then the next day, emotionally distant. Seemed like parents didn't really pay attention or notice what she was doing.
So parents have a roller coaster of their own emotions.
Right.
Got it.
So, but there was no explanation behind it, right? It's not like Kiki acted up or did anything. It was just like parents really involved and then maybe not. And so for her, as a child, she's like, love is amazing, but it's kind of unstable.
This is why anxious people become such great people watchers.
Yeah.
Because they're watching their parents, their caregivers, their whole body reactions and having to pick up on little cues.
Right. And so, now as an adult, subconsciously, she can believe love is lost quickly. And so reassurance is something that I need to be actively securing or looking for.
So love equals passion.
Yes.
Like that, infatuation. Okay.
Now, there's the, maybe perhaps if we're looking outside of the home, we're just talking about friends. Maybe she had the best friend switch up that happened very suddenly, right? In elementary school, she had a best friend who texted her constantly or told her everything, always called her, you're my person, you're my best friend. And then one week, the friend, for some reason, pivoted to someone new. There was no fight, no explanation. It was just gone, right? And so young Kiki's takeaway is even with strong connections, things can disappear without warning. And so as an adult, again, as you mentioned, the scanning for early warning signs, interpret normal delays as potential emotional exits.
Yeah.
Right? They took too long. They're leaving.
That's actually something I was talking about with my clients this week is the idea of exits. because they are so sensitive to things. Like I was talking to a couple new clients this week, and they were anxious. I was like, I bet you when you walk into a building, you find all the exits quickly. And if you haven't identified them, you walk back out, and they said, yep.
Yep.
It's such a common thing.
Now, the other potential that I threw in here with Kiki is that she had the we need to talk household.
Oh man, my kids hate that one.
Right? There's in her house, emotional conversations also often started with we need the talk, or we need to talk. The talk, right? No.
That one makes me anxious too.
Yeah. We need to talk.
When I was young, now my kid's like, Dad, please no.
Yeah. And but what was hard for her with this, right, is that we need to talk could mean something very small, minute, to something very big, huge, right? No consistency in what that meant. So it was, so what did she learn? I need to brace myself for potential worst possible scenarios. And if I expect the worst and it doesn't end up being the worst, well, then I guess, okay.
I dodged a bullet.
Right? So...
Dude, that's like you're calling me out on this.
So for her, right, like something's shifting, investigate immediately. Right? Now there's the final one that I kind of, there's two more. This one is the idea of she received rewards for closeness seeking. So as a kid, she noticed something important. When she asked for reinsurance, stayed close to people, expressed worry about potentially losing connection, she often got comfort, attention, or reassurance.
Right. Which is the exact opposite of the avoidance, right?
Yes.
Avoidance, we're told, it's not that big a deal. But for anxious, it's like, it tells me that her parents were very anxious because they're like, oh, come here. I know what that's like. Let me give you a hug.
No, I do really love you.
Yes. Yes.
I'm so sorry, right?
Exactly.
So her brain got wired to this pattern, right? If I feel unsure, reach out more, connections restored, I'm calm, or I'm okay, right?
Dude, you built this out with depth.
Yes.
Good work.
So in adulthood, right, that's why maybe she gets into these situations if she's maybe texting or calling someone. There's the double text or call, right? It's not just I text and then I wait for a response. If I don't get a response by this particular time, okay, I'm going to send another text really quick. Or I called, they didn't answer. Okay, I'm going to call again instead of waiting for them to get back. The persistent questions of, are we good? Are you okay? Those sorts of things.
Right. And that's usually when they're activated, though, right?
Yes.
Right. It's not like an all-the-time thing.
No.
And it can be something as simple as adulthood. Like, I can imagine Kiki just reaching out and holding Mikey's hand.
Yes.
And that could be enough reassurance. But no, that's good. And Mikey might like that.
Yeah. Now...
Who knows? We've got to figure out what Mikey is.
Right. now, the final one I kind of have here is this idea of there's very much that hyper-awareness of emotions, right? Where she was very much tuned into other people's moods. There was a lot of nonverbal communication that was done in the household. It was important for her to pick up on cues or to know what was happening, because perhaps maybe if she asked, maybe she was met with hostility, and so it's like, ooh, I don't like that. It was better.
So parents are busy, you interrupt. Not now. Okay.
Oh. Rejection.
Yes.
Right?
And it was the rejection. Parents could just say, hold on a second. Just out of exasperation, not because of the child asking a question, but just because, I'm totally feeling called out.
So for her, right, she learned she learned how to sense these tonal shifts, micro expressions, the small little things, these emotional, perhaps, undercurrents, which causes her to read deeply into everything now, and assuming that small things actually have perhaps a bigger underlying meaning. So,
oh my gosh, I got stories that came up.
Yeah. So to kind of recap or summarize all this together, right? Closeness is important, but it's fragile. Signals must be monitored. Uncertainty must be resolved quickly, and reassurance equals safety, right? That kind of throws that all together. So here's the story, right? Kiki and Mikey, right? So
we might need to break this up here. We've got 17 minutes. If this reads 10 minutes, do you think you're going to be able to sum it up?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we can read through this one, and then if we need to come back, we can come back.
Okay. I'm going to put a timestamp break here. Okay. I'm going to put my hands up so you can see it.
Yeah. All right.
So we're back.
Yeah. So Kiki knew something was wrong. Mm-hmm. It had been 11 minutes since Mikey had read her text. Not replied, just read.
Wait, 11 minutes?
Yeah. Which, as everyone knows, is the worst possible scenario, right? She stared at her phone like it had personally betrayed her. Okay, she's whispering to herself, pacing back and forth in her apartment. We're not overreacting, we're just noticing patterns. But there were no patterns. There was one message. Oh, that's so funny. LOL. And then silence. Kiki sat on the couch, knees pulled to her chest, conducting what she referred to as a light emotional audit. Did he use fewer LOLs than usual? Was that's funny a dismissive funny? Why no emojis? There's always an emoji. Her brain helpful as ever, chimes in. He's losing interest. Okay, that feels extreme, Kiki said out loud. Or he met someone funnier. Okay, still extreme. Or he's slowly detaching emotionally, and this is the beginning of the end.
Whoa.
Okay, wait, now that feels a little possible. She picks up the phone again, still nothing. 11 minutes and now became 13, which in Kiki time is roughly 2 business days.
She might be ADHD.
She opens the chat and reread the last 10 messages like a detective reviewing security footage. Wait, there used to be 3 exclamation points earlier. Her stomach dropped. Wait, that was too many exclamation points, maybe. By 15 minutes, Kiki had entered phase 2, strategic outreach. She typed, "Hey," smiley face, pause, deletes it. Too casual. Types again, "Hey, sorry if I was being annoying earlier, LOL." Delete it. Too apologetic. Never apologize this early. That just shows weakness. Next attempt. "Are you alive?" She stares at it. Okay, no, that's aggressive. Delete.
Yes.
Minute 18. Her brain has now escalated to a full narrative development. She imagined Mikey at the cafe laughing with a mysterious, effortlessly chill person. He used exactly 1 exclamation point at the perfect time, never double texted, and probably didn't Google how long is it normal to wait before texting again.
Bro, is there a time limit? Because I'm bad at texting.
Kiki lays on the floor. I should become more mysterious, she announced to the ceiling. All of a sudden, her phone vibrates.
Holy cow.
She bolts upright, almost getting a concussion from how quick she sits up. Mikey, sorry, I got pulled into a meeting, LOL. Kiki stares at the message. Relief floods her body like she had just been rescued from a desert island. Then immediately suspicion. A meeting? At 7:40 in the evening? She types back instantly, "No worries!" Exclamation point, smiley face. Sent, then froze. Wait, that was too fast. That was too fast. 3 seconds later, she sent something. What kind of meeting? She sends, pauses, and then instantly regrets everything.
Oh,
Mikey replies,
gosh.
Just work stuff, nothing exciting. Kiki squints. Nothing exciting? Her brain perks up. Why did he specifically say that it's not exciting? Who is he trying to convince? She sat up straighter, suddenly more determined to be calm, cool, and emotionally regulated.
Dude, this is good.
She types, "Gotcha," smiley face. And then, because she was calm now, completely calm, she thinks to herself, okay, this is what I should send. I just felt like you were a little distant earlier, but it's fine. No big deal, just something I noticed. And then she hit send before higher reasoning could intervene. Silence again. Kiki stares at her phone. Okay, we're not spiraling. We're not spiraling.
Too late. You're like halfway down the toilet.
Right?
Like you are heading down for a mess.
She stands up, then sits back down, stands up again, checks to make sure her phone actually had service, made sure that it actually sent, opens the chat, closes it again, opens it again. 2 minutes later, Mikey, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to seem distant at all." Kiki melted instantly. "Oh, thank goodness. clutching her phone like it had just apologized to her in person. Her entire emotional system recalibrated in under a second. He cares. We're fine. Everything's fine. She typed, no,
only temporarily, though.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I just overthink sometimes. Haha. Sent. Then after a brief pause, but like, we're good, right? She stared at the message and winced. Why would I say that? Why would I say that? She's muttering to herself. Mikey replies, of course we're good, smiley face. Kiki collapsed back into the couch, staring at the ceiling again. Okay, peace, calm, stability for about 8 seconds. Then her brain whispers, he used 1 emoji. He usually uses 2.
Oh my gosh.
Kiki slowly sits back up, staring at her phone. Okay, she said, reaching or pulling her phone closer to her. We're just going to ask one more small clarifying question.
This is good.
Yeah. So there's that story.
Dude, that's a good one. Yeah, like Mikey. Like, seriously, looking at Mikey, I don't know what he is. He definitely, what I found interesting with the story was he apologized for being distant. Saying I got pulled away into a meeting. Clearly tells you that this is a pattern that's happened in this relationship. And
right.
He's like, hold on, let's try and nip this one in the bud.
I've been accused of being in the cafe before.
Yeah, with Gina. So he doesn't want to do that. But it's also interesting that it was not just like self-preservation, but I also think it was genuine interest in her, in Kiki.
Right.
Right. Understanding that she's probably in some emotional turmoil. But no, that was good.
Yeah. And, what I thought was important, I guess, when I was putting into the story is how much I have heard from clients that I've worked with who have this type of an attachment style that, it's like jumping from one to the other to the next. And there's very rarely at times any sort of de-escalation that happens in the moment because of how activated they are. Yes, looking back on it later, they're like, oh yeah, oops.
Yeah. Well, when their system's calm, like, I mean, would have been interesting. What I wanted to know is what was that first text sent? Because that first text seemed to be important to Kiki, right?
Right.
But it left enough mystery in there that I was like, oh my crap, I see so many clients in this story. But it's like there's the commas in the wrong place. And like for me, like I'm not great at grammar all the time, but I try to be, but like 14 exclamation points, no.
Yeah.
Like
not that level.
Not that like emojis all the time, like what face represents this one? I have no idea. I'm simplifying things.
But but it's so interesting. I'm sure you've seen this as well with the clients you've worked with who have this attachment style, but the most minute things that they pick up on and they'll bring up and they're like, they'll ask your opinion about it and you're like, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Right. Right.
And I can understand where you're going, but you ended up taking a small thing and you ended up making it about something much bigger than what it actually was. Right,
which shows kind of like the co-occurrence of anxiety with this attachment style, right? We talk about this all the time with anxiety. Its job is to exaggerate, to make small things seem big.
Right.
Its job is to overwhelm the system by telling lies that you can't do this or something's wrong, right? Mm-hmm. If it deals with that kind of what if question all the time. And there were 1,000 what ifs in there. What if he was with somebody else? Or, wait a second, that there's one less exclamation point. And then they go back to say, wait, am I crazy or not? Right? And she looked, I think he said 10 different emails, text threads, like, look at that, here's his pattern. And instead of just saying, oh, maybe his pattern is this, and wait, he had a meeting, wonder how bad that meeting really was.
Right.
At 7:30 at night, got called into a meeting. Maybe he had a pretty sucky day. And so he's like controlling. But the mind doesn't go there. And what I loved about that story is how internal it is.
Yes.
Right. But it's not just, it's not like, we talk about the avoidance. They're so stoic that you don't see that battle in them. You think they just are heartless. They don't care.
Right.
But for her, it was an internal battle, but it was like her whole body couldn't sit still. Up, down, flip open.
Yeah.
Flip open. That's it all. Swipe, I don't know.
Yeah. Look at the phone, unlock.
Yeah. Please be there. Like it's a lifeline. But it shows how desperate the connection was and how simple it was. And I was imagining in my mind, I bet if Mikey were there and gave her a hug and just a 10-second hug and said, hey, I still love you. I want you.
Uh-huh.
I almost guarantee that whole thing would settle to a full baseline.
Yep.
Where there would be no needing to misread anything.
Right. Because, and I think for her, what's so interesting, and maybe you've seen this as well with your clients as well who have this attachment style, right? It's funny is how texting is their best and worst enemy. They like it because, it can help add an extra layer to avoid conflict, but they also hate it because their biggest skills that they use, right, is reading tone, body language, and that sort of stuff, and text completely takes that away.
Right. And it's absolutely true. Like this week, last week, I don't remember which, time blind here. I was working with a couple, and they get in arguments, and they one wants to leave, and the other one's like more the anxious. I got the anxious avoidant, and we're talking about this trap. I'm like, wait. Here's our trap, right?
Uh-huh.
And I said, I don't care if you want to leave, but do you love her? And my client said, oh yeah, I don't want anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, how about we try this? I want you, when you leave, say, hey, look, you can look her in the face, look in the general direction, say something like this. I love you. I don't want to say something that'll hurt you. I'm taking off.
Mm-hmm.
I will be back. And that's it. And then run.
Yeah.
And what was funny, before I even could give my anxious client any instructions, my anxious client was like, oh, just hearing those words settled everything. If he did that, I would be like, okay, I don't have to fight anymore. Right? But that's kind of the whole system. It's like she's looking for clues for connection. She's hoping that there's still connection there.
Mm-hmm.
In her mind, she even probably thinks she's crazy for thinking all these things, that he's off with Gina.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Gina, Sally, whoever was in the office.
Whoever's at the office, right? She doesn't want to be in that state.
No.
There's so much so that her body's up, down, flip, like, let's look for the commas in texting, and then it's like, oh, let me rethink this. I could send the perfect text. And then it's like, wait, I hit send. That's not a perfect text.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Now, unfortunately, these stupid cell phone companies have given us the I don't actually know if it's cell phone, iPhone, Samsung, given us the option to undo.
Yeah.
So it's going to create more anxiety for them. You're like, wait, I can edit this one.
Yeah. Let me get ahead of it.
Whew, I almost dodged a bullet, and then they find another bullet coming their way.
Yeah. Oh, wait, undo.
Could you imagine? They're like, you're trapped in your own head. What a hell that is.
Uh-huh. Well, and that's, why for a lot of our clients with that attachment style, relationships are the best thing ever, but also it's the thing that causes them the most stress in their life, typically.
No, yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
But it's also the thing that makes them more secure.
Mm-hmm.
Because once they have that base and they know they can trust it over time, then they become more adventurous themselves. They become more willing to reach out and try hard things, even though before, when they're alone, they couldn't, because they have a secure base they can fall back on, that they know that they can come home to, that they know is safe.
Right.
And that's the beauty of relationships, is it creates that foundation. And that's why we want this. That's the whole point of this, is it's not to say, hey, this is just funny stuff we see, but to help people understand that there's hope in creating relationships no matter what attachment style. You can get two secure attachments together And it could be World War III.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always work out like, oh, my attachment style is wrong. No. Don't get hung up on what your attachment style is. Just notice what you need.
Right.
That's really what attachment is.
So kind of coming into where we were with Kiki now, right?
Right.
So I wrote a kind of a follow-up, and this is supposed to be Kiki a few weeks later.
Okay.
Trying to show what can someone with this attachment style perhaps do that will be helpful, but also perhaps what they might be experiencing internally while that's going on. Okay. So a few weeks later, Kiki noticed something strange. She was calm. Not fully calm, right? Let's not get unrealistic, but maybe about 30% more calm than usual. Now, this was large.
For her, which is huge, though.
Right. Really big. And part of the reasons why she feels that this is the case, I mean, she had started going to therapy to figure some of this out, but also she wrote a reminder to herself, the little sticky note she kept on her mirror that said, simply pause. You're not being abandoned. Probably. Right?
Sounds about right.
So,
I mean, deep breaths.
Yeah.
Which are good. Like, that's a good thing. Right?
Yeah. So, on Tuesday, Mikey texted, hey, have a busy day. I might be slow to reply. Old Kiki would have read this as preparing you emotionally for my gradual disappearance. Right? New Kiki squinted at it. It's like, okay, this appears to be communication. We'll be okay. Suspicious, but promising. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Around 2 p.m, Kiki sent a, I hope your day is going okay, smiley face. Mikey reads it, doesn't reply. The clock has now begun for her.
Yes, it has.
Right? Minute 1, totally fine. People have lives. Minute 3, he did say he'd be busy. Minute 6, we're thriving. Look at this emotional growth. Minute 9, her brain leaned in. But what if? Kiki stood up immediately. No, we're not doing that. She then grabbed her phone, but then paused. This was new, but usually by now she'd be drafting a follow-up text, a backup text, and an apology for both of those texts, right?
Right.
Instead, she whispered to herself, we're gonna try something radical. She took her phone and placed it face down and then walked away.
That's what radical is.
Right? So in the kitchen, Kiki opened the fridge and stared inside it like it might offer some sort of emotional guidance because she's, having a little bit of a hard time right now. We're just going to exist, she said. And she reached in, grabbed a string cheese, but then ate it so fast she barely got the wrapper off.
Oh, man. Emotional eating.
Yeah.
I relate.
Yeah. So at minute 14, her brain returned. Hey, we should check. Just a quick check, just for safety. Kiki inhaled and then exhaled and said, or we can trust what he said. Silence. Her brain did not like this option.
She's now arguing with herself.
Right?
Yes, I love it.
So she then compromises. Well, I'll check just once. She picked up her phone. No reply. Her chest tightened slightly. Old Kiki now would have been deep into her spiral.
Well, it's just a small thing, which is good because, you're never going to get them not to be anxious, right?
Right.
And it's definitely not comfortable learning to do this.
Mm-hmm.
These new strategies, new techniques. It's not even that. It's just new behavior, right? New way of living.
New way of doing things.
Yeah.
So old Kiki would have spiraled. New Kiki says, okay, I'm feeling activated, but that's fine. That's me. She sat down, put a hand on her chest like she had practiced in therapy once, taking deep breaths in and out. This is just a feeling, not a fact.
Is that not cliche, a breathing exercise in therapy?
Isn't it? But you know what's so funny is how many of my clients tell me it's like after we practice that and then I encourage them, hey, try it. Or, we'll practice it and then when you need it, you use it. And then they'll come back later at some point, whether it's, the next session or maybe it's a few weeks down the road and they'll be like, hey, I did that and that actually really helped. And it's Yeah.
Yeah. People who are anxious just breathe differently. Right? I mean, they do. They just more shallow, or they hold their breath, right? And it's such a real thing. It's not a made up thing.
Right.
But I mean, it's a total cliche. It totally fits. You have to teach it. Right?
She paused and said, this is just a feeling. It's not a fact, even though it seems extremely factual. Then a plot twist. She did something revolutionary. She then grounded herself, practicing the skills that she had gained with her therapist. She noticed 5 things she saw in the room, 4 things she could feel, 3 things she could hear, 2 things she could smell, and 1 thing she could taste. The grounding helped calm her nerves and allowed her to change her focus from the phone to the chores and other important tasks she was needing to get done that afternoon. These are things that she normally would push off to the side while she anxiously stared at her phone for a response. After minute 22, her phone buzzed. She flinched like she had just been stung with a cattle prod, right? Mikey, sorry, I just got out of I've just gotten out of back-to-back meetings. My day's been chaos. How's yours? Kiki stared at the message. No emotional collapse, no investigative analysis of the emoji quantity or the periods or, any of that. Just information. Oh, she said. That's right, he was just busy. But something felt unfamiliar. Relief, but not in the dramatic, life-saving kind, but just normal relief. Like, oh, that checks out. She typed, no worries. Sounds like a lot. My day's been pretty chill. Smiley face.
Pretty chill.
Yep. Sent.
I love the language of today.
Right?
I think we did awesome, right? Cool.
Yeah.
And that was chill.
Sends the message, then paused, waited. No immediate second message. No, are we good? No, just checking. She blinked. Oh my gosh, she whispered. We didn't chase. She sat back down on the couch, slightly stunned. Is this secure behavior? Her brain, still skeptical, said, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Later that evening, Mikey called. They talked. They laughed. He told her about his chaotic day, and at one point he said, I like how easy things feel with you. Old Kiki would have replayed that sentence 47 times, analyzing the tone, checking for a potential hidden meaning.
All within 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe even less.
Yeah.
That's like a heartbeat thing there.
New Kiki simply just smiled and said, I like that too. After the call, she sat quietly for a moment, no urge to double check, no urge to send a follow-up, just steady. She glanced at her sticky note. Pause, you're not being abandoned. Probably. She grabbed a pen and added underneath, update, still not abandoned.
Still not abandoned.
She nodded, we love data. Somewhere in her brain, the old alarm system was still there, still ready, still loud sometimes, but now there was something new sitting next to it, a voice that said, hey, let's check the facts first. And for the first time in a long time, Kiki believed it. At least 30% more.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love that last part where it's like, he checked in and says, hey, I like how this feels, right? To me, when I was imagining this, like a couple weeks later, there was obviously other experiences that led to this idea. And the idea that you're kind of pulling out of there is the neuroplasticity of things, right? The idea that the brain will change with more experiences. And this is what we talked about when relationships become more secure the longer they are together.
Right.
Because they have more experiences together. She knows that he's not leaving. But even with his little comment, what it's also saying is that's a data point for her.
Right.
It's like, oh, he's happy like this. I feel better like this.
This is good.
This is great.
Yeah. And like you said, I like the idea that you mentioned the neuroplasticity, because I know for many clients, when we first start talking to them, teaching them about this stuff, and it seems like a mountain to climb. Right?
Yeah.
And they're just like, I don't know if I can do that. But the funny thing is that once they allow themselves to start, things, begin to change small at first, but then they become bigger and easier.
Right.
You just have to be willing to try.
No, and you're absolutely right. And the fact that she tried and persisted, but it's not easy. I love
No.
that you included that in this. It's not going to be easy, right? You're
Right.
changing the way you think. Your body is saying no. Here's the alarm, and your mind's trying to say, wait. This is false alarm, right?
Right.
And it's well, like I mean, recently we had like a drill over at the junior high, right? And it was interesting to see that people's systems got activated so quickly by the drill. It's like, we know it's just a drill, but it's not a drill, but it feels like it's real, but it's not real. And when we're told we're safe, but are we really safe? Right? It's that kind of feeling that comes up with it, and it's real. Yes. And it's primal at times.
Yep.
And what I loved is, like, you're absolutely right. I mean, you deal with this with addictions. You deal with this with, even just anxiety. You swap one behavior for another. It says, like, nature does not like an empty vacuum, right?
Right.
That principle is so true, because what was swapped out of there was, hey, I'm going to, sit and scroll on my phone, or, look at my phone. Now I'm going to go eat, which is, I'm not saying it's a wrong thing here. Maybe she's hangry, right?
Yeah. She really needs that string cheese.
At least it wasn't a Snickers, right?
Yeah.
But she ate a string cheese, right? We've got to be careful with our energy. Like other things they'll do is like, well, instead of texting, him, I'm going to text my friends and get their opinion, which I'm like, oh, that's the dumbest thing you could ever do.
Oh, man. And that's funny, because that's something that comes up so often when we talk with people, right? Like, what are some solutions? What could you do instead of this, right? Instead of texting your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, right? Instead of texting them, what can you do? I'll text someone else. And it's like, no.
Bad idea.
Yeah. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do.
Because they have less data than you have.
Right. And not only that, this is the idea of you being able to calm yourself down for you. Learning that I can trust myself. I don't need someone to tell me things are okay. I can believe that for me.
Right. And so using that pause technique, we've talked about the pause technique before. Breathing techniques, grounding techniques, all good. But the only purpose is to do just that, ground, regulate the system.
Right.
That's it. And if people aren't willing to jump into a project, something else to occupy that space, they will return to that worrying.
Yeah. It gets back up there.
And if the thing you jump into is similar to what you want from, like in this case, a text from Mikey texting somebody else, who knows? You might exponentiate it. Like maybe mom is in the middle of a movie and can't text, right?
Oh no, is mom not? Mom doesn't care now?
Nobody likes me.
Yeah. I am abandoned.
And see? And then it exponentiates. So it's like, no. Let's put the phone away. And I mean, honestly, that's probably a good strategy for everybody. Just put the phone down more often.
Right.
But, the fact that it was, they're creating great communication here, Mikey. We can't really tell, but he's definitely more along the lines of secure, from what I would say. Because he's just saying, hey, look, I got a busy meeting. He's preempting things. I'll talk to you when I can. And that's just great communication.
Right.
And great communication often helps people who are anxious. On top of that, having other things to do,
Right. And that's why it was, important, as you mentioned, for her, we ground, and then we need to preoccupy, do something constructive, right?
Constructive is a great word.
Yeah. Then just nothing.
Yeah. Then, or I mean, like, exercise. Like, I love exercise, right? Well, sort of.
Does exercise like you?
Exercise is good, but I think if that people are like training incessantly for exercise, that's, we're creating a different problem. We're just swapping, like with addictions, like people swap from, one drug of choice to a different drug of choice. That's like, wait a second, that's not helpful.
Yeah. One behavior for the other.
Yes, it's the same equivalent. Exercise is great, but like honestly, one thing that I would recommend is like have lots of hobbies, but also like do something meaningful with your life.
Right.
If you really want to get out of the anxiety cycle, do something that is meaningful to you. Whether it's like writing a book, building a website, marketing.
Yeah.
I mean,
learning
whatever you
want
wanted, learning a new skill.
Yeah.
Engage the cognitive centers of your brain. The prefrontal cortex is the learning center, because now you're engaging two different neuroplastic techniques at the same time.
Right.
Right? You've got one that is requiring focused attention. It can't be, if you do 10,000 Sudokus a year, a new Sudoku is not going to do anything. Your mind's going to go on autopilot.
Right.
Right? But if they're like learning how to play the piano as their exercise while in the midst of this anxiety, and they've not been, they're not a concert pianist, then that concentration is going to get them into the prefrontal cortexes of the brain. And then they can play, which will eliminate the anxiety.
Right.
But so you got two things. You're learning a new skill, and you're also learning new behaviors that's saying, hey, that is a false alarm.
Right. Well, and I think something that I have found that's helpful with this, I mean, with my clients that I work with who have some of that avoidant attachment style, I encourage them, hey, find something you can do with someone you care about, right? To encourage that idea of connectedness, because they're great doing things independently. That's their comfort zone, right? But hey, let's do something maybe that feels a little uncomfortable. And with those with anxious attachments, I go the opposite direction. Hey, is there a skill or something you can do by yourself or on your own?
Right.
Like learn, put effort, energy into that, because it's important for them to understand I can do things by myself or for myself, and that's it.
That independence piece. That's why avoidance. Yeah, one of my favorite ones to do is like for the avoidant, is when they're in the middle, a fight. Eventually, it takes a little bit of time, but
yeah.
You're like, I want you to give them a 10-second hug and then run. That's where that idea came up earlier today. Watching them, they're like, the hugs are like, it's the most repulsive thing to them. They're like, their whole skin's crawling.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. Now this is really building new neuroplastic behavior. So do that creepy thing. When I was in third grade, this just popped in my head. My elementary teacher would always say, when we were studying math or whatever, she'd be like, wait, I could hear new wrinkles happening in people's brains.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was terrifying then. I was like, my daughter said a few years back, one of the teachers said something similar. But, in that moment of discomfort is really where they're learning to disarm.
Right.
They're learning that closeness isn't danger. And they also learn that there's also an escape, a respected escape.
Right. And so for the anxious, if we were to say something equal, it would be when they tell you what it is, take it for what it is.
Face value.
Yep.
Just it is what it is. And it's okay to believe that.
Yeah.
And then let the data show.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Don't try to analyze it, because and that's what I try to with my anxious people. Like, you will know when there's a problem.
Yes.
You can't make every problem a problem, because then you become the boy who cried wolf. But your instincts are so fine-tuned that when there's actually a real big problem, everything will click into place and you're like, and
just wait and stop.
Just stop.
Yeah. Because, I mean, and what I think is so interesting in that is that idea that if you're always looking for it, you end up creating it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, that's what Mikey said in your story, right? I like how this feels now, because he's like, you were smothering me a little bit. Yeah. This is much better.
Yep.
And so that's a great story. Good work.
Thanks. So, I mean, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, or things like that, we encourage you to leave it down, in a comment down below. Check us out on our other social media, Facebook, Instagram, and join us next week as we continue discussing and talking about the lighter side of heavy things. This is something real fun that we like doing.
No, it really is. It's my therapy.
Yeah. We're gonna have to continue the saga of Kiki and Mikey. Right?
They can't go away now. I'm liking this story big.
Anyways, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.